Hi Sarah. So for my cultural interview, I interviewed my TA for my nutrition class, and his name is Rishav. He just moved to America about 2 years ago, so not just moved, but he's pretty new here. He grew up in India, and he is here pursuing his master's degree. When I really asked Rishav about the differences between communication in India and in the United States, he said that the communication was pretty much the same. People there use cell phones just as often as they use them here. And then we went into the topic of boundaries, and he said that boundaries in America are pretty formal. So if you imagine that we have a personal space bubble, their personal space bubble is pretty big as far as the rest of the world is concerned. There are other countries who have a very small personal space bubble, so they're not afraid to really have close contact with each other. India pretty much falls in the middle of those two extremes. They're not a super touchy nation, but they're definitely not as rigid or strict as the United States is as far as personal contact goes. Another thing we talked about is the caste system in India. So they still use the caste system, and Rishabh pretty much described it as it's the same thing as racism in the United States. It just goes by a different name. So with the caste system, there's discrimination, there's oppression, and just people not being treated the way they should be treated based on their rank in the caste system. We also discussed texting and using a form of digital communication versus speaking face-to-face to people. And Rishabh says he actually prefers speaking face-to-face, one-on-one, or just in person pretty much. So it really was important to him to be able to express himself in a way that other people are able to hear his intonations, because he believes that that form of communication is a lot more effective than text messaging. He said he's gotten into fights with his girlfriend because he'll say something and she'll totally misconstrue it because, or vice versa, it might happen to him where she says something and he misconstrues it. But there's just no intonation, there's no way to tell if someone's being sarcastic or if they're being serious. And so he says that he really prefers talking to each other face to face rather than texting. So then Rishabh and I talked about social media, specifically Twitter, and I asked him what advantages Twitter has as a huge form of social media now, and he mentioned something that I thought was very interesting. He said that everyone has a platform and everyone has the ability to express their opinions, and so this can create polarization among people, because they might say, I'm voting for Hillary, I'm with her, and then people who oppose Hillary are then going to, polarize that person and say, well, I hate you because you're a Hillary supporter and I'm a Trump supporter. And so that goes both ways, and it goes with a lot of things. Someone might say they're a dog person, and a cat person might say, I don't like you. So it goes with a lot of things, and because people are kind of forming these opinions on people based on this one thing they know about them, who they support in the election or what their favorite food is, things like that, trivial things. And I think people are forming judgments on these people and then going further and forming judgments on that group as a whole. So forming judgments about all the Jill Stein supporters or the whoever. And that's just really bad. It's toxic to our society, because you're hating someone based on this one belief they have, when there's so much more to a person than what they believe about an election. And so I think we have to get past that and realize that there's more to people than what they put online.